Hi, everyone. All right, so let's see here. How long is spring? How long is spring? Yesterday was the first day of spring, but I learned since then that spring actually starts at a specific moment, and I believe that to be 11:51 p.m. yesterday. So the 19th of March at 11:51 p.m., which means this problem got a little bit more complicated. It's not just the number of days, but number of hours, minutes, seconds, and ends on June 20th at 5:44 p.m. I didn't realize it was that specific. So if you take a calendar and you add up all those days, I get 92 days, 17 hours, and 53 minutes. I believe that to be correct. I tried to Google it, and I couldn't find any site that actually gave me that exact number. So you just have to do the math to figure it out. So the next part was, is all the seasons the same length? And at first I thought that had to be true, but I did a little research and found that it is very not true. And the reason being, the Earth, we're talking about seasons, so we're talking about revolutions, not rotations, but the Earth revolves around the sun in an elliptical path, which means it's not a perfect circle, which means sometimes it's closer to the sun, and sometimes it's farther away from the sun. And when it's closer to the sun, it travels faster, and when it's further away from the sun, it travels slower. And it just so happens that during spring and summer for us, we're actually further away from the sun. I know, isn't that kind of weird that it's warmer here when we're further away from the sun? That is completely true. And which means our spring and summer are longer than our fall and winter. Yes, that is a truth. Usually spring and summer are somewhere around 92 to 94 days long. I mean, spring we calculate to be almost 93 days long, and I think summer is about 94 days and change. And winter and fall are around 89, 90 days. That's a difference of about 5 days, the length of summer compared to winter. Our summers are a lot longer. It's almost a week. And the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. They have a longer winter and a shorter summer. Interesting. Hey, all right. So for today, you might notice that we're on location in Mr. Rogoyski's closet. Yes, this is my closet. You're getting a very special glimpse of this. I do not show anybody this. Most people have never, ever been here, but I'm going to show you real quick. So here are my shirt collection. I actually counted them for the first time. There's 104 shirts here, which is crazy because my wife usually takes about 20 to 30 of them to Goodwill every year, the ones that I don't wear often. I have a whole pink section, pink, purple, lots of pink shirts. Here's a neat story. About 10 years ago, a fifth grader in my class was getting picked on because he was wearing pink, and we dealt with that in class. And that night, I went home, told my wife, said, tomorrow, I'm wearing a pink shirt. And my wife said, honey, you don't own a pink shirt. Well, we fixed that real quick. Now I have so many pink shirts that, I don't know if you know this, but I actually wear a pink shirt one day every week of the school year. That is a truth. Every week of the school year, I try to wear pink at least one time. And I usually do a pink week where I wear a whole week of pink shirts. Kind of cool. All right. So anyway, pink, pink shirts, pants. Over here are these bins. And in these bins, are you ready for this? Are bow ties. I actually have, this is actually what bow ties look like before you tie them. There are actually over 40. I didn't count them, but there are over 40 bow ties in those bins. That's for Bow Tie Tuesday. Every Tuesday, I've been wearing a bow tie. And today's math problem has to do with the wall over here, which is my tie collection. The question of the day, how many ties does Mr. Rogoyski have? All right, now we have a big assortment here. Let's see what we got. Ooh, these are my pencil ties. These are awesome. Look at this. I actually have 3 pencil ties. I wear these on state test days for the 3 testing days. What else we got? We have a rubber ducky collection. I think I have 4 rubber ducky ties, if I remember right. My flag section is well over 20 flag ties. That's a real big section. New York City section. Oh, this is great. We gotta take a look here. My SpongeBob SquarePants section. The best one. I actually have 5 SpongeBob ties. This one, SpongeBob Square tie. It is an actual squared off bottom tie. Huh? Ever see anything like that? Cool, huh? And down here is the bin. This is where ties go after I wear them. You might recognize this as last Thursday's ties. The last tie that I wore was my Pi Day tie. Once they go in the bin, they stay in there till Labor Day. Every Labor Day, I take all the ties out of the bin, and I hang them up here. Now, okay, how many ties does Mr. Rogoyski have? Okay, what you need to know is there are 4 racks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each rack has 36 pins. On each pin, I hang 2 ties. There's 2 ties in each one of those. So that's how many is hanging on the wall. And that's not it. I also have a holiday bin because they don't all fit. My wall is not big enough. So I have a holiday, I call it a holiday bin, but it actually has a bunch of ties kind of grouped. And on it, and I'm going to give you some clues to see if you can research and figure out. In that holiday bin, there are my basketball ties. And when I was in my teens, I had a crush on a soccer star named Mia Hamm. And her jersey number is the same number of basketball ties in that bin. There are also soccer ties in that bin. I have the same number of soccer ties as triangles on a backgammon board. Ooh, backgammon board? How many triangles on a backgammon board? I bet you. Have you even heard of backgammon? Anybody know how to play backgammon? It's a great game. I have my Halloween ties in there. All right, here's a good one. The number of Halloween ties. It is the one number when spelled, the one number that is spelled with the same number of letters as itself. So in other words, like the number 1, O-N-E, is 3 letters, but it's number 1. So that doesn't work. It's not the number 1. It's another number that if you take the number of letters, it's also the number. My Patriot Day ties. All right. It is James Bond's call sign. Or another way of looking at it, it's a number that's very important, having to do with Snow White. My Election Day ties are in there, and that's a collection I need to increase before next November. That is a goal of mine. And I have the same number of Election Day ties as there are species of bats that are blind. How many species of bats are blind? This could be a lot of ties, because I believe there's over 1,000 species of bats. Let's see here. My Turkey Day ties. You might remember from Thanksgiving. How many I wore them all this year. I wore all my Turkey Day ties this year. And I have, let's see, the number of ties is the same number of poops that a sloth takes in a week. It's also the population of Monowi, Nebraska. That's M-O-N-O-W-I, Nebraska. And it's also my favorite card game. Let's see here. My St. Patrick's Day ties. I have the same number of St. Patty Day ties as I do Patriot Day ties. Ooh. And last but not least, my Valentine's Day ties. I have the same number as there are sides on a pentagon. And I also have another bin full of ties, which are all the ties that I decided not to wear this year. I just put them away. They're actually usually not that exciting, or the ties I only like to break out every few years. And there are 72 ties in that bin. So you need to add all that up, plus the ones on the rack, and figure out how many ties. I actually didn't know the answer. I know the answer now because I actually just figured all that out, all that math. But how many ties does Mr. Rogoyski have? Rogoyski out!